Vedanta management's top brass, I began by asking them about the aluminium cost of production in the past quarter and what's the way ahead. Let's listen in to what they had to tell us.
If you look at our mix, our imported aluminum mix last year, same quarter, used to be around 51%. And we could bring it down to 43% imported aluminum mix. While when the procured OMC bauxite ore used to be 50% same quarter last year, it is also down to 43%. That is more and more we are getting backward integrated with our own alumina. And of course, this is reflecting on the cost. As the quarters go by, I'm sure that we should be able to maintain the same trend and we'll be able to ensure ourselves that we protect our margin in spite of the spiking up of alumina prices.
So you don't see a big spike up in the cost of production on the aluminium side?
No, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So that's the biggest part of the business. So we've got the profitability question out of the way. Let's focus on the debt. You know, the street is always skeptical. What's happening at the listed company entity with regard to the net debt? Now, you've reduced net debt down by close to 4,000 crores. And as you're mentioning, it's the multi-quarter low. The parent as well is in better shape. And they have deleveraged the books by around $1 billion. Give us an outlook, Mr. Goel. Where does the Vedanta listed company's net debt go from this 56,000 crores? And what about the parent entity?
Sure. Let me start first with the parent company, Vedanta Resources. And you're right, in the current year first half, we have deleveraged the parent company debt by $1 billion. And with that, debt at Vedanta Resources has come down to 4.8 billion, which is almost half what it was almost 2 years ago. So it is at decade lowest debt at Vedanta Resources. At the year beginning, we have committed that VRL debt will go down by 3 billion over 3 years. And we are well on that path. Now coming to Vedanta Limited, the listco, yes, debt in the current quarter has gone down by 4,500 crores. But here we should look at net debt to EBITDA, which is at 1.49x. And in near future, over 2 years, we will go down to 1x. That will be a benchmark in the Indian metals and mining space.
Interesting. The other fear is about the Capex plans. You know, you'll have this dream of getting into the semiconductor space as well, and you'll get some support from the government. But what is the total Capex spend for the entire entity, since it's still one entity? Could you tell us about that? And how do you plan on funding it? What's the update on semiconductor?
So you may take the Capex one. And on the semiconductor, yes, right now, nothing beyond what has been already discussed in public. So we'll keep it at that.
But by when should we get a bigger update on the semiconductor front?
Whenever we feel that there is something more to talk about, it will come back.
We'll be waiting by for that. Mr. Goel, you want to comment on the Capex?
Yes, on the Capex, one can look at a block of 3 years because ours is a long haul industry in terms of Capex cycle. So we intend to spend almost 5 billion Capex over 3 years. And as you know, in the current fiscal, our guidance is about 1.9 billion and will be in that ballpark. So the 5 billion over the next 3 years, starting with next year, it will be funded all through operating free cash flows. And as you may have seen in the current year, we are reporting a very robust growth in terms of EBITDA and the free cash flows. So the entire Capex program, 5 billion, will be funded through operating free cash flows.
So you don't see the debt balloon up from these levels of around 60,000 crores. It should hold in this vicinity?
In fact, the debt both at Vedanta Limited and Vedanta Resources should only keep going down in future.
Got it. Now we have one listed entity, Vedanta, but more the merrier is what the bulls on Vedanta will say. By when do we see the demerger take place? Give us a timeline.
Demerger should unlock substantial value. That is one feedback which is resounding from all the analysts' viewpoint. And you may have seen in the last quarter, 2 events, we filed the scheme of demerger with NCLT. And the first stage hearing has taken place in mid-October. And we are quite hopeful and optimistic that demerger will conclude by end of this fiscal.
Okay, got it. What about the sale of the steel plant? There was this talk that you all are going to be doing it, and you all have spoken about it in the past as well. Get the right value, we'll sell the plant. What is the current update on the steel plant? Are you looking to sell it or are you looking to add capacity?
On the steel plant, if you say there is a two-track strategy. One, of course, strategic intent. If we can hive off and concentrate on the businesses that we have, but that does not deter us from growing the business altogether. We are almost about to complete our expansion plan at Bokaro. By next year, March, the new projects will be up and running including the new blast furnace, new coke ovens, everything will be up and running. And then we are also on the drawing board to invest more and expand the steel capacity to 5 million ton in the next stage. So we are not shying away from growth in steel business at all, including our iron ore and value-added business in Goa. While as a strategic intent remains, whenever the situation is right, we get the best value. So of course, we'll have a look at it.
So for the time being, you're focusing more on expanding the business rather than selling it. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
All right. Since we have both of you all with us, Mr. Goel as well as Mr. Mishra, what's the plan with regard to the international zinc business? There was a plan of bringing all the zinc assets under one umbrella. Is that still in the works, or are there any plans of selling the international zinc business?
No, so there are two parts to it. One part was whether merging Hindustan Zinc and Zinc International and make it in one business. That time there was no talk of demerger. Now there is a talk of demerger. So we have strategic organizations. So where this Zinc International falls under Base Metal Group, which is our operations in South Africa, and we will look at that growth of Zinc International under that Base Metal Group. And that growth immediately they are growing to 1 million ton capacity with new concentrators coming up, mine being expanded. So that will grow on their own, and very fortunate parties, the reserve and resource that they have is slightly more than even what Hindustan Zinc has, and even on a similar comparable grade. So there is no corporate action required right now for merging the two. And whereas Hindustan Zinc in India itself is looking to double its capacity. So the strategy that we had that time, that we will go to 2 million ton capacity by merging the two businesses. Now 2 million ton will come in India and 1 million ton in South Africa. Together it will be 3 million ton. We are creating more value in this new strategic approach.
Got it. All right. What about Vedanta? They surprised everyone. They went and they sold some stake in Hindustan Zinc. And now Mr. Mishra told me, Nigel, I think the OFS is going to happen. And the OFS happened. The government of India came and sold some stake in Hindustan Zinc. Does Vedanta plan on selling more stake in Hindustan Zinc, or for the time being you're done?
See, there are two, government's intention of selling was a committed strategic choice that government had told in the Supreme Court, where government would be divesting their entire stake of 29.5%. So this is just the beginning. Vedanta's choice is depending upon its financial planning, where Ajay Goel would be able to throw light. There is no strategic intent, so to say. We want to run the business, we want to grow the business, and we want to make it, already we are second largest in the world. Of course, we want to make it the largest zinc company in the world. Government's intent is concerned, I had told you the actions will happen sooner than later. They have happened, starting with 2.5%. And the next, what will happen beyond that, we will wait and see.
All right, Mr. Goel, you want to clarify whether Vedanta will sell more stake in Hindustan Zinc?
Say from a capital structuring and the funding viewpoint, with that robust operating free cash flows and recent fundraise through QIP, there is no need for further cash through OFS. But obviously, Vedanta is a large company, and we keep evaluating. Depending upon the interest and the right pricing, we will again evaluate in the near future.
Okay, all right. And final question then, does the promoter want to sell any more stake in the listed entity, Vedanta Limited? Mr. Agarwal's in far better shape. Will he sell more stake? Or in fact, if he's in better shape, will he look to buy back some part of what he sold?
Again, in terms of overall structure for the group, our single biggest target of the group remains deleveraging. So be it Vedanta Resources or Vedanta Limited. But again, the prioritization viewpoint, it is the first free cash flows. Any options strategically in terms of a stake dilution, I think can be considered. Nothing on the table. But will you buy more? I think in the current environment, it is less likely, I would say.
But can he sell more?
There's no requirement, Nigel, as you know, but we keep evaluating. Nothing on the table for now is all I can say for now.
Okay, that's Vedanta on the second quarter performance. Plus, of course, a lot of the strategic moves anticipated ahead. Stock right now is a little flat. But